Have you ever noticed how deafening the silence becomes once you decide to completely ignore a narcissist? It feels as if the storm has finally passed. But what if I told you that this calm is actually the most deceptive part of all? Beneath the surface, a psychological drama is unfolding, one with a script that was written long before you ever entered the picture. Today, we're going to tear that script apart. We're breaking down the 5 stages of a narcissist's reaction to being ignored. And I promise you won't just learn what to expect. You'll discover why stage 4 is the most dangerous of all, and how your silence actually becomes your most powerful weapon. Have you ever wondered why they are so terrified of the quiet? The answer is going to shock you. Let's dive in. But before we plunge into the chaos of their reaction, let's take a second to talk about why the no contact rule is the gold standard for moving on. It isn't about being cruel, it's about self-preservation. Think of a narcissist like a machine that runs on only one type of fuel, your attention. It doesn't matter if that attention is positive or negative, praise, anger, or tears. It's all narcissistic supply to them. When you go silent, you aren't just stopping a conversation, you are cutting off their life support. To them, it feels like having an IV drip ripped out of their arm. Their entire ego is built on your reflection, and without it, their world starts to crumble. Everything they do next isn't out of love for you. It's a raw, primal panic, a desperate attempt to force you to turn that tap back on. The first stage you'll encounter is the return of the romantic lead, or what psychologists call a love-bombing relapse. Once the narcissist realizes you're serious and that your wall of silence isn't breaking, they'll pull out their biggest card, the exact one that worked in the very beginning. You'll start getting messages flooded with regret and promises. I finally get it now. I've changed. Life is meaningless without you. Or, let's just start over with a clean slate. They'll bring up your happiest memories, play the victim, send your favorite flowers, or suddenly show up at your door with those puppy dog eyes that were always so hard to resist. It feels like a scene straight out of a Hollywood movie. It looks as if they've finally realized your worth and are willing to do anything to win you back. No, this is the first and most dangerous trap. You have to remember, this isn't sincere remorse. It's a tactic. Let's take a look behind the scenes of this performance. What's really driving a narcissist at this stage? It isn't love. It's a cold, calculated fear of losing control and their source of supply. They're acting like a seasoned marketer who just realized a loyal customer has walked away. What do? They offer the biggest discounts, the best terms, and promise you the world. But their goal isn't to make you happy. It's to pull you back into a system where they can feed on your emotions again. They weaponize your own vulnerabilities and memories against you. They know you're craving the good old days, so that's exactly what they put on display. It's like a con artist offering you a guaranteed jackpot, knowing that the moment you buy in, you'll lose everything. At this point, every "I love you" isn't a confession, it's a hacking attempt. They're just trying to crack the password to your heart to regain access to your attention. Picture Maria. After years on an emotional roller coaster, she finally cut ties and blocked her narcissistic partner everywhere. For the first week, there was nothing but silence. And then it began. First, a text from an unknown number. "Just wanted to say our song came on. I hope you're doing okay." Maria ignored it. A day later, a bouquet of her favorite peonies appeared at her door with a note. "I was an idiot. Give me one chance to make it right." Her heart skipped a beat. The climax was a call from a mutual friend who accidentally handed him the phone. Suddenly she heard his voice begging for a meeting, claiming he'd started therapy and finally realized everything he'd done wrong. This is a textbook move. A narcissist will use every possible channel: mutual friends, social media, even delivery services. They create the illusion of a grand campaign to win back your love. But if Maria had given in, she would have seen that those changes would only last a week or two, just long enough for him to make sure she was firmly back on the hook. So how do you resist this sweet poison? The number one rule is simple: zero reaction. Absolute zero. Don't reply to his texts. Don't accept his gifts. Don't let anyone middleman a conversation for him. Every time you react, even if it's a frustrated "leave me alone," he wins. To him, it's a signal that the door is still ajar, that he can still get under your skin. This is when you have to become a grey rock. Be boring, be uninteresting, be completely emotionless. Imagine you are a solid wall. He can throw his manipulations at you all he wants, but they'll just bounce off without leaving a mark. It's incredibly hard because he knows exactly which buttons to push. He'll prey on your lingering hope that things could somehow be fixed. But in those moments, you must remember, you didn't walk away from the charming prince you met at the start. You left the manipulator who drove you to this breaking point. Keep that image in your mind. Your silence is your shield, and the longer you hold it, the stronger it becomes. But what happens when love bombing fails? When your wall of silence remains unbreakable? That's when the narcissist pivots to phase 2, the smear campaign, also known as the scorched earth policy. If they can't win you back, they'll settle for destroying your reputation and burning your bridges. They simply cannot stomach the idea that you were the one who walked away. In their distorted reality, they must be the victim, and you must be the monster. So they begin to rewrite the narrative for everyone around you. Yesterday's angel and love of their life is suddenly rebranded as unstable, crazy, ungrateful, or manipulative. They'll start reaching out to mutual friends, family, and even colleagues, framing their malice as concern or heartbreak. It's a calculated, insidious move designed to strike right where it hurts most. The psychology behind this stage is as simple as it is terrifying. It's called projection. The narcissist takes all of their own flaws, the toxicity, the lies, the betrayal, and pins them squarely on you because they can't face their own deep-seated shame or sense of worthlessness. They transfer those feelings to you in the eyes of the world. This serves two chilling purposes. First, it cleanses their image, allowing them to play the noble victim while casting you as the villain. No, more importantly, it's a calculated move to isolate you. They know you're more vulnerable when you're alone. By poisoning your relationships and stripping away your support system, they believe you'll eventually break and come running back to them out of sheer desperation. It is a brutal attempt to take you hostage, cutting off every escape route and creating a vacuum where their voice is the only one you have left to hear. Take Oleg's story, for example. He finally walked away from his narcissistic partner, but when she realized she couldn't win him back, she went on the attack. She messaged their mutual friends, claiming Oleg left because of serious anger issues and that she was genuinely scared for him. She called his mother, her voice trembling with tears, spinning a story about how he'd fallen in with the wrong crowd and she was just trying to help. She even dropped hints at his workplace that he was suffering from severe burnout that made him unstable. Before he knew it, Oleg's friends were looking at him with suspicion, and his mother was calling him in a total panic. He found himself forced into damage control, defending himself against things that never even happened. This is a textbook example of how a narcissist spins a web of lies, turning your entire social life into a minefield. How do you survive an attack like this? It's easily one of the most painful stages, and it's so easy to lose your cool. My biggest piece of advice is this: don't play his game. Don't try to publicly debunk every single lie he tells, and whatever you do, don't get dragged into arguments in group chats. The more defensive you get, the more unstable you appear, which is exactly what he wants. Instead, choose a few people you truly trust and calmly explain the situation without the drama. You could say something like, "We broke up, and it's been a very difficult process. He's saying a lot of things that aren't true right now just to hurt me. I'm choosing not to engage with it. I just ask for your understanding." For everyone else, maintain your dignity and stay silent. The truth always has a way of coming out. The people who really know you will see the gap between his lies and who you actually are.
And as for those who choose to believe him, they're just his flying monkeys, and you don't need people like that in your life anyway.
If the smear campaign fails and you refuse to back down, the narcissist moves to a third, far more chilling stage: threats and intimidation. This is when the mask finally slips, revealing what's been lurking beneath all along: pure narcissistic rage. At this point, it's no longer about winning you back or ruining your reputation. It's about punishing you for your defiance. The threats can take many forms. Some are veiled. "You're going to regret this. I'll make your life a living hell," or "You have no idea what I'm capable of." Others target what you value most. "I'll expose your secrets to everyone," or "I'll make sure you lose your job." In the most extreme cases, they become direct, involving physical violence or stalking. This is the moment the situation shifts from being merely toxic to potentially dangerous. Why is he doing this? It's a desperate move to reclaim control through fear. By ignoring him, you've committed the ultimate sin. You showed him that he no longer matters. This is a massive blow to his inflated yet fragile ego. Threats are just his way of trying to feel powerful and relevant in your life again. If he can't have your admiration, he'll settle for your fear. Fear is a powerful emotion. It forces you to focus entirely on him. He wants to see that you're afraid, that his words still carry weight, and that he can still pull your strings. This is his final show of force before admitting defeat. He's testing your boundaries, pushing to see how far he can go before you crack. Just remember, any reaction from you is exactly what he considers a win. Take Anna's story. When she stopped responding to her ex's calls and texts, he started sending her photos of their happy moments together, captioned, "Do you really want to throw all this away?" Anna stayed silent. That's when his tone shifted. "I know where you work," he wrote. "It would be a shame if your boss found out a few interesting things about you." It eventually escalated to, "If I can't have you, no one will." This is a textbook shift from manipulation to straight-up intimidation. Narcissists often use threats of self-harm, saying things like, "If you don't answer, I'm going to do something to myself." This is just another form of bullying designed to make you feel guilty and responsible, forcing you to break your silence. It's a cruel form of blackmail that has nothing to do with a real cry for help. It's only about keeping you under their control. So, what should you do in this situation? First, take it seriously. Don't brush it off or assume they're just empty words. Second, document everything. Take screenshots of messages, save every email, and record calls if it's legally allowed where you are. This documentation may be your only evidence if things escalate. Third, do not engage with threats and never show fear. Any emotional reaction on your part will only fuel their behavior. And fourth, if you feel your safety is at risk, do not hesitate to seek help. Reach out to your inner circle, consult a lawyer, and contact the police if necessary. Your safety is the absolute priority. It's always better to be over-prepared than to regret doing nothing. This is a test of your resolve. Once you get through this, you'll come out much stronger than before. And now we come to the fourth stage, the most insidious, the most calculated, and, as I warned you, the most dangerous. It happens just when you think the narcissist has finally given up. He's vanished from your radar until suddenly you see it all over social media. He's in a new relationship. He looks happy. He looks in love, posting photos and writing about how he's finally found the one. Your first reaction is a gut-wrenching mix of relief and pain. You think, finally, he's moved on, but at the same time, how could he forget me so quickly? That right there is the trap. This isn't the end of the game, it's a new, far more twisted level. It's a tactic called hoovering, and he's using a new person to do it. This public display of happiness is nothing more than a performance, and you are the only audience member he's playing to. To truly understand the danger of this stage, you have to understand a concept called triangulation. A narcissist loves to create these triangles where he is the prize, and two people are forced to compete for him. This new partner isn't a replacement for you, they're a tool used to manipulate you. He puts his perfect new relationship on display just to trigger your jealousy and make you feel like you weren't enough. He wants you to think, maybe I was the problem? Look how happy he is now. The goal is to make you doubt your decision to leave. He's waiting for you to crack and break the silence, whether you write to congratulate him or to tell him off. Any reaction at all means you're still on the hook. He gets to move on to his new source of attention while still feeding off your emotions from a distance. Imagine scrolling through Instagram and seeing his latest post. It's him and his new girl at the very same cafe where you two had your first date. The caption reads, "Never been happier." Then, an hour later, you get a text from an unknown number. "Hey, just wanted to reach out and wish you well. I hope you find your happiness too." This contrast, the public flex versus the private message, is a masterclass in manipulation. It's his way of saying, look, I'm thriving without you, but I'm still in your head. I'm winning. My life is great. How's yours? He's baiting you into a competition that doesn't even exist. He might even start venting about how unhappy he is in his new relationship, just to trigger your sympathy. He wants you to feel superior, lures you back into the game, and waits for you to step into your old role as his savior. Why is this stage so dangerous? Because it hits you right where it hurts, your ego. It creates this overwhelming urge to either warn the new victim or prove that you're just as happy as they are. Here's the truth. Both are a losing game. Reaching out to the new partner will almost certainly backfire. The narcissist has likely already painted you as the villain, so your warnings will just look like the desperate revenge of a bitter ex. And trying to prove you're doing fine, that just keeps you trapped in his who's winning competition. The only real way out is total, absolute silence. Block him everywhere so you aren't baited by his provocations. Cut ties with mutual friends if you have to. Your goal is to step out of the triangle he's trying to build around you. Understand this, his happiness is a fraud. It's nothing more than the next act in a never-ending performance. Don't buy a ticket to the show. And then, after the storm finally passes, we reach the fifth stage, the great disappearance, or the final discard. When every tactic, from sweet promises to threats and mind games, fails to work, the narcissist might just vanish completely. Total silence sets in, real silence. They stop texting, they stop calling, they stop showing up. Even the provocative social media posts come to an end. It seems as though they've finally surrendered and moved on. For many, this brings a sense of long-awaited relief, a confirmation that you did the right thing. And in many ways you did. You held your ground. You won this exhausting battle. But there is one crucial detail you need to understand so you aren't caught off guard later. This isn't always the end of the story. Often, it's just an intermission. What's going through his mind at this point? To him, you, his source of supply, are officially broken. He's tried every trick in the book, but he couldn't fix you, and it's no longer worth his energy to keep trying. In his cold, transactional world, you've become damaged goods, so he discards you. This is the act of devaluation. To avoid the narcissistic injury of you rejecting him, he flips the script. He convinces himself that he's the one walking away because you are unworthy. He quickly shifts his focus to a new, easier target, fresh supply, whether that's a new partner, a career move, or a hobby. He isn't leaving because he respects your boundaries. He's leaving because you are no longer useful to him. He walks away to salvage what's left of his inflated ego, rewriting the story to make it look like it was his choice all along. What does this mean for you? Think of this phase as your window of opportunity. This is the time you need to leverage entirely for your own growth. While he's distracted by a new source, you've been given a much-needed breather. Use it to heal, rebuild your self-esteem, and set ironclad boundaries as you craft a life that no longer includes him. This is your time for therapy, for reconnecting with the friends who stood by you, and for discovering new passions. The stronger you become now, the less power he'll have over you later. It's important not to let your guard down or assume the danger has passed for good. Don't look at this as the end of the battle. See it as a chance to regroup and build an impenetrable fortress around your new, independent life. Your goal is to become so whole and self-sufficient that if he ever tries to come back, you'll simply see no reason to let him in. This brings us to the biggest myth of all, the final discard. More often than not, their disappearance is anything but final. A narcissist can resurface 6 months later, a year later, or even 5 years down the road. You might get a random text on your birthday or accidentally run into them at the store. Why? Because they view every former partner as a potential source of supply. If their current source runs dry, they start revisiting old contacts. If they sense your guard is down, they'll try to crawl back in. That's why healing isn't a one-time event. It's an ongoing process of reinforcing your boundaries. Stop waiting for him to give you closure. Give it to yourself. Your decision to walk away and your continued silence, that is the end of the story. Everything else is just the dying gasps of his ego. So, let's bring it all together. Love bombing, smear campaigns, threats, calculated triangulation, and finally, the disappearing act. These 5 stages aren't just random emotional outbursts. This is a predictable, well-rehearsed playbook that a narcissist runs on anyone who dares to cut off their supply. The most important and perhaps most shocking realization is this: none of this was ever about you. They would have done the exact same thing to anyone else in your position. You weren't the object of their love, you were simply a tool to prop up their ego. But here is the real twist in the story. All this time you believed they were the powerful ones and you were the weak one. But the truth is, your silence and your refusal to engage are signs of incredible strength, and that is exactly what they fear most. Your silence speaks louder than any of their screams. Thank you for watching until the end. If this video resonated with you, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Now, I want to ask you, which of these stages have you lived through and how did you survive? Please share your story in the comments below. Your experience might just be the lifeline someone else needs to make it through this hell.